This is not going super well. Are you guys able to hear me? See me? Do something? Hello? My name is Nigo Montoya. How about now? No, there's one coming over there. Gosh, I hope this is starting to come together. Why? Ah, and you can hear me. All right, so, sorry, it looks like I'm about a good minute delay, so I'm just gonna hop over to my desktop. I'm gonna get started on creating my new Power BI 2.0 seeds. Glad you guys were able to stick with me through this BS of getting started here. So sat down to do my videos for the week, realized I needed to redo all my seeds because there's a ton of new features inside of Power BI, and I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I might as well stream this out, share that with you guys, and you know, if people have questions about how you can build out these seeds, you know, feel free to post them in chat, or if you have general questions about Power BI or just want to talk about anything in particular, go right ahead. You know, let me know if the music is too loud. I just turned on some like ambient music so that it's not just, you know, me sitting here talking, but I'm gonna go ahead and get started. All right, so the reason I'll pull this up. So I wanted to, out on Creos BI, I had already published some seeds that were out here under like getting started with Power BI. Basically this seed, where is it? Creos BI Power BI seed right here. The point of the seed is to give you a nice layout and visual appeal so that people can just go ahead, get started working with it. This is nice. I'll pull up the last one. But I built this before they added in all the new page navigation, and I built it basically off of using all of the bookmarks. Well, I don't want to do as many bookmarks in the future, so I'm going to be moving away from having all these different bookmarks that guide me through this into using the page navigation. Additionally, that created a number of different issues when people were using it that they were sending back to me about having problems with having bookmarks on the side, bookmarks down here. So we're just going to take a step away from that because that just got a little bit too complicated. So basically, I'm going to fire up PowerPoint because I want to do my layouts first, because I like to have a nice clean design and layout before I get started. In this new design, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take advantage of, out on Power BI, the new feature inside the apps where you can set up your reports so that they all kind of like show up on the all the tabs appear on the side. All right, so we'll go here. So Disney Stories, I've got this. So this guy jumps along here. All right, I've got my navigation inside of here, but I also want to take advantage of, like, if I go to publish this into an app. Let me go back up to my reports. I go create an app. I just call it that. Call it publish. Yeah. What am I not done with? Navigation. All right, publish app. Publish. Go to app. I want to take advantage of this real estate over here, right? So I want to make sure that I've got a nice tab layout, or I've got a nice navigation on the side here. So I'm going to do that inside of my seed tabs. So I'm just going to kind of plan for that. So each visible tab is actually going to be a subject, and that's what's going to have my navigation. So in order to make this seed as useful as it possibly can, the first thing I really have to make sure I never do is I cannot add any data into this Power BI file, because if I add any data in, that's going to eliminate my ability to you know, connected to a Power BI data set or connected to analysis services or whatever it is I'm going to do with it. So when I'm building this out, all I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding in backgrounds, I'm going to be adding in buttons, I'm going to be adding in page navigation, I'm going to be adding in visuals, but that's all I'm really going to do. So again, pop back over to Power BI, or I'm sorry, back over to PowerPoint. Now, I'm not going to want to use this side navigation, so I'm only going to be using like this guy. I'm going to take this, and now all of these shapes inside here are, or all these elements inside of PowerPoint are shapes that I'm going to be using so that I can extract them. I'm going to make sure that they have a nice clean layout to them, that I'm balancing my sides out as I build it out, and I'm going to make sure that my buttons up on top have as large as I possibly can. Now, I've often found that this space up here I use for dropping in little bits of information about the Power BI report I'm doing. This is going to be a place where I'll put in potentially a button with a link to an information tab, and in fact I'll be going through some other stuff along these lines. So so what we do, Control A, select everything, save as a picture, and then I'm going to be going into my Power BI Seeds Backgrounds 2.0 file. I'm going to be creating this. I'm going to replace it, and I'm going to do a couple of different variations on this. So this is my basic one. I'm going to duplicate this. Oh, why didn't that duplicate? Okay, so I'm going to duplicate side. Okay, and this guy, oh no, I'm gonna break it up a little bit so that I've got some additional spacing in here. So if I want to do, so 3 different subjects I might want to do. Now this is not quite the right size or height, so I'm going to break this out a little bit more. Put this in as I had before. Come on now. I'm just going to continue to work through and lay this guy out until I get it exactly the way I want it. Sure, I have the same height in place here as I did on the other one. In fact, I'm going to make these just a little bit smaller because they're just a little bit too big, so that I can get the appropriate spacing between them. All that stuff I think is important to make it really look right and pop. So once I get these kind of in the right places, I'm going to evenly distribute them. All right. Now I've got a couple different. I've got this page now. Oh, come on now. All save as picture. Blue on white. It's going to be on blue on white, 3 panel. All right. Maybe one. Actually, we're going to save this one again. Save as picture. We're going to call this one with nav. Just so I can give these things some understanding as I'm looking at them. As I'm looking at the pictures, I know what I'm talking about. And the reason I'm calling these out as with navigation is I'm going to duplicate this guy. And I'm going to remove the navigation because some of these I'm not going to want to have internal navigation on. Giving myself as much room as I possibly can. inside my internal pane. And so then I'll Control A, select all, save as picture. And then this guy will be without nav. Save. Yes. And then I'm going to go up here. I'm going to duplicate this guy again. I'm doing the exact same thing for this guy as I realize I want to have one with and without navigation. So I'll put this up here. So it's just the right height on it. There we go. That's too high. All right, we want to have equidistance here and here. Too close on the side here. The goal being a nice clean layout that's aesthetically pleasing. So I'm going to do this one again. So save the. What the hell just happened here? So here, Control All, save as picture. Blue on white with nav. And Control All, save as picture. Blue on white, save that. Yes. So now when I go over to my seed, I can get started with this. I'm basically just going to be putting this into the background with a 0 transparency. Come on, 0. Come on now. Come on, people now. Smile on your brother. Everybody get together. So I'm going to start with my navigations. I like to have those first. I call that fit. Transparency is 0. All right, and one of the things I do like to do as I'm doing these is I do like to keep the names of all my content kind of in alignment. But I'm going to skip that this time. So we're just going to call this subject 1. To make it easy for people as they're coming in and using stuff. No, I take that back. We are going to not do that. We're going to do this. Power BI reports. Seeds. Backgrounds 2.0. All right, so we're going to keep these having the same name on them so that it's really easy for me to go in and change these as I go. Make these work a little differently. So I'm going to, next one is going to be 3 panel with nav. So add that guy in, add image, 3 panel with nav. Set my transparency to 0, change my normal to fit. I don't know what normal is for. I don't think I'd ever use normal. I've never seen normal used. It just never seems to work for me. I don't know who uses that. That should be something the Power BI team should look at fixing. I'm gonna pop over here and use blue on white, change my background. Change it to fit, change my transparency to 0. Play with it because for whatever reason, sometimes it doesn't come through. And then we're gonna have one without nav. Or the 3 panel without the navigation. Okay, change my transparency down, set my normal to fit. Again, you guys have any questions, feel free to pop them into chat. Looks like there's about 30-40 second lag there, so just know that I'm not gonna be jumping back and forth there for you. Okay, so I've got these in place. I've got my 3 different tabs. If I want to test this out, I can save this guy. I can then I can't publish this. right? Until you get data inside your data set, you can't publish it. But I know how this works. I know what this is like. And I specifically really do not want to add any data into it because, as I said, I'm working on getting all of my little buttons in place and getting my navigation working so that it becomes really easy for people who are coming in and trying to build something out. So here's where I'm going to add in my additional buttons. Who's got the button? Button blank. You go and you're here. Now we're gonna call this one home. Add in the state. We're gonna call this one home for the subject. Now I always turn off that border. I leave the background on for the button that you're landing on, right? So each page is going to have like a home button that they can, or each page with a nav will have a home button that takes you back to that first primary visible space, right? Yeah. Yeah. PowerPoint is one of the most useful tools that we have out there, right? And it's kind of crazy how that works, or that it works so well, right? All right. So when I get this into the right space for me, I do like to have just a little border around it so that it's not just, so you can kind of tell that you're landing on the page. And I'm going to stretch it out a little bit so that there is more room for subjects here, because what we're going to have is we're going to have several different pages that we have on here. So I'm going to copy, paste. Now, this is going to be subject 1. No, subtopic 1. And these are going to have the backgrounds off. We're going to have the outline on. Oh, no, we're not. Have the outline off. The background's going to be on, but we're going to turn transparency down. So we get some dimension here, and we see that there's some buttons here for some so there's normally some place we can go into here to start to keep on clicking on things. I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste these over. What's the best place to create buttons? I guess it's kind of up to you, making sure that you follow a common pattern, right? Like, you don't want to go in and create a whole bunch of buttons that don't have the right functionality, right? Or don't work the way you'd want them to. And actually, we're gonna take this back because I just realized I screwed this up. So I want these here. I'm gonna delete this guy, but I'm gonna duplicate this page. And I'm going to call this one subtopic 1, right? And I'm going to hide this guy, right? And then this guy gets a navigation, page navigation to this other page. Now, you can, Chris Hamill and a lot of people do this where you just have a bunch of bookmarks, and that's the first one I did. You had these bookmarks that allowed you to just stay inside the same context. That has been proving to be incredibly challenging for people when it comes to managing the state of their slicers, their filters. Some of that functionality it wasn't quite right while staying in one page, right? They didn't have the controls that they always wanted. So I'm actually recommending that people break out into different pages. You will get these, the visuals that you can put up in your little border or your header bar here. We'll have to refresh each time, but when we talk about overall design and build patterns, it makes it a lot easier for people when they have that. So I'm just calling that out as how I like to build these out. All right. So I've set this guy up. It goes to page navigation. The page navigation I sent it to is blue on white nav subtopic 1, right? Then when I click over to blue on white, I come over here, I go to my background, and this is going to be something that's important to maintain consistency on, is, you know, keep your transparency consistent as you bounce back and forth. So when I've got my home here, my background, I'm going to set that to 30. Come on. Why won't that work? 30. And then I'm going to turn this to 0. And I'm going to make sure that I turn on my action and my page navigation over to my blue panel with navigation, right? Now, I'm going to kind of repeat this topic or repeat this process as I go along, right? So I'm going to duplicate this page. So this is going to be my new subtopic 2 as I build this guy out. All right. Now this guy, we turn the action on for him. This becomes a page navigation. It goes to subject 2. And I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to stick it right next to it. I'm going to change this one to topic 2. And then I'm going to go over to this guy. I'm going to turn my background. I'm going to set that to 30. Right. Now I can copy this guy. I can go back through my pages, making sure that my action is set appropriately so that it goes to subtopic 2, and that my background gets my background stays on, but it gets set to 30. I copy that guy, and then I go back to my main page and I paste that in there. Oh, and it didn't remember my background. Disappointing. Copy and paste, you failed me for the last time. But test these out, making sure that as I click through. Oops, jeez. Oh, that was not right. See that? This home button wasn't set up right. Action, page navigation. Selected the wrong one. There we go. So let's make sure that this home button gets replaced here. And then I've got the right navigation on each of these guys, right? I'm going to continue to iterate through this. So duplicate page 3. Now, one of the things that I kind of like to do 3 of these so that they have like a home and then 3 subtopics, right? So I'm just going to copy this one because it's in the right format. No, what am I doing? Copy this guy because it's in the right format. And I go to button text, topic 3. Change this guy over to background of 30. And now I take this. Here's a little cheat I do. So I change that action here to subtopic 3. I copy it. I then change the background to 30. Then I go back here because now I have the right page navigation in it because I want to keep that page navigation. And on the page you're on, you can't select that page as an action for navigation. But If you've copied and pasted from a different page, it retains that. So I've got that. Now I move along and I go back to my home and I add that in. Now I've got my 3 topics here. I'm fairly good. One of the things that I do like to call out now is we're going to do another one of these. So I'm going to scroll all the way to the back. But this one, when I go over this page, I'm going to duplicate this page and I'm going to call this is going to be my my Q&A. So it's not subtopic, this is a Q&A. How did that not do it? Hello? Hello? Alright, and so now this guy though, I'm gonna add in a Q&A button. Oh, where the heck did that go? So, page navigation. I'm going to send it over here. I want them to come over to my Q&A experience here because I want to be able to customize this to provide some additional background, some additional instructions for people around how to use Q&A, because people often when they get it, they think it's going to work one way and, well, frankly, it just doesn't, right? So, page navigation. Oh. Can't make that here. I've got to go to my other pages and paste this in. Actually, this is the one I want. Action, page navigation, Q&A. I'm going to put this on each of my pages. All right, so they can go and get this stuff. Yeah, if you're in Excel, you can do a ton of stuff. I don't, Alex, I don't think you can do that inside of Power BI though. So, okay. So I've got these in. But yeah, I do like including navigations inside of my Excel stuff. And in fact, one of the big things I'm really looking forward to talk about is this analyze in Excel. That is a huge time saver when it comes to validating data, or new DAX statements, because real easy in Excel to lay out all your data the way you want and write a formula that is exactly what you want it to be. Like, okay, add these cells together. This is what my DAX expression I want it to come out to be, inside of Excel. And then you write your DAX measures, and then you just create a logic to test those out. And I'm really looking forward to that. So, all right, so we have blue and white with nav Q&A. I just did that one. I'm also going to call one out. I'm a big fan of that. What the heck's it called here? The key influencers. So we'll have one for key influencers. All right, so we'll have a page that's specifically just for the key influencers. So we're going to call that out. So this is background on. I'm going to change that to 30. I'm going to call this one key influencers. Right? Nope, not spelled right. Back. Influencers. It's spelled right, isn't it? Yeah, that's spelled right. Stupid. All right, so I got my key influencers button here. So I'm going to go over to here. I'm going to paste that guy in. I am going to change my background to 30. I'm going to change my action. I change over to the key influencers, and now I'm going to copy this guy. Ooh, catch that. I didn't change this background to 30. So I've got my key influencers. I could paste that in each of my places or on each of my previous tabs. So I've got that. And then the next one I do want to do is also have a decomposition tree. So similarly, I'm going to create a new button. Go at the end. Tree. All right. The whole point of this is to provide some insight and guidance for people on how to navigate to these things, so that we do get these, you know, kind of for each subject that we're working with, we have a common coverage and visuals. Hopefully we touch on as many of these as we can. Okay, so this is going to be a tree. For root cause analysis, this guy gets set to 30. Put down. And we run back and we put these on each one. Change my action. All right. Should have left that there. Come on. Stop looking at me. We'll go back and we'll do some balancing these things out in just a second here to make them look just perfect here. Up. There we go. All right, so I've got these in place. Now I'll leave a little bit of room there for some additional stuff, but I also want to have an information page that I want to include inside of here. So I'm going to duplicate this guy. I'm just going to call this one information. Now this will this is for our business users to include any types of, you know, general information about the report that you're looking at itself, right? You know, like some context, some tips around using it. You know, I typically, this is where I like to have like all the business rules, right? Like, you know, what's the context the user should have when they're looking at this report. This is where you can include things like when it was last refreshed or when the data was through. You know, so if you're looking at snapshots or if you're looking at different types of information, you know, it can really spell out what it is that you're looking at, right? So you keep that on a consistent information page, and you kind of keep that consistent across all of your reports. It makes it really easy for users to understand where they go when they're trying to get that information, right? I saw an incredible demo this week of a team member who actually built a bell icon in a Power App. The Power App, all it does is it maintains a little like count of the number of alerts that a user needs to be aware of across all of their Power BI dashboards, all of their systems, all of the things that they interact with. And then they embed that little bell with that little number counter inside all of their they embed that Power App inside all of their Power BI reports, up in a little section like this. It was straight out, it was amazing. I've got to get on doing a similar thing here, right? So, okay, so I've got my layouts in place. I've got my navigation. Looks like everything appeared. Wait a minute. My key influencers. Doesn't navigate right. And that's why we test, folks. Awesome. Oh, wait a minute. I did it again. Okay, so I'm on topic 2. Gosh bless it. Well, look at that. This action. Yeah. You know what? We're just gonna go back through. We're gonna reset all of them because I don't know what was going wrong with that guy, but I want it to be right. Okay. So I got this all inside of here. Oh, another one. So topic 2, you're... How did I get that screwed up? What you guys watching? Did I miss it? What did I do wrong there? That was weird. Subtopic 2. Yeah. Huh. That was weird. But that's why we test, and that's why we run through and we get a template like these out. When we get it up and it's working right, then we don't have to worry about people coming around and screwing these things up, right? Or having to do as much testing. As much testing, you know, when they come through and they do these things, right? So, all right, so, and my navigation, set that to 30. Okay, now, there's no way to, is there any way to, oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, that drag and drop thing now is super nice, right? I mean, be able to just grab many things without having to click on the control, because that was a problem, right? Because you know, multi-select in here didn't work when you talk about buttons, because you know, it just take you to that next page, right? So it was a huge pain in the neck if you have to ever had to go through and do this like realignment stuff like I'm doing right here. because you'd have to like, crap, I gotta go through, and then I gotta turn off the interaction, then I gotta go through and select them all, and big pain in the neck. This is much nicer. It's nice, yes. Oopa, 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 oopa. So I mentioned on a live stream, I don't know if you guys are still on here once, but I mentioned my dislike it was me, the Power BI Luchador, mentioned how much he did not like disconnected tables. I'm going to tell you why the Power BI Luchador does not like the disconnected tables. And the reason I bring it up now, and it's hopefully there's soon going to be something we can do about this. But I dislike, or the Power BI Luchador really dislikes disconnected tables because they're too useful and they're too powerful. Hang with me here. So when we're talking about disconnected tables, you can use them for security, you can use them for page interactions, you can use them for all sorts of little different things. And they're really useful for different things depending upon the different reports that you're on. That's all well and good. That they're super, super useful and they're very beneficial. Except they become incredibly problematic if you're managing an analysis services cube that services 300 to 400 people who are building out reports and sharing them across your organization. When you have that many people wanting to add in these custom disconnected tables for interactions in their different reports that they have, it becomes a nightmare of complexity and naming conventions and what do you do with these different tables. It just, frankly, most teams just say no, they're not going to add in those disconnected tables for those one-off experiences. The problem becomes some things inside of Power BI you just can't do unless you have that disconnected table. Well, that's hopefully, fingers really crossed here, that's one of the big things that we're going to get with composite models, is that ability for teams to be able to go in and still use that central golden model that's out there, but now they can add in those different little page navigations, those different features and functionality that they want to do in order to make that interaction within their reports work and functional, right? So I'm really hopeful that allows us, that gives us that break once we get to once we get to these composite models. If it doesn't, that's when I think we need to be looking at expanding the Power BI product to natively allow users, even if it is running on a Power BI dataset, to have that functionality to add that in to each individual report without having to send that back into the model itself, right? All right, back over here. So, whoopsies. All right. I don't know if Alex is, if you were listening for all that, but that's why I push back on functionality inside Power BI that can only be done with those disconnected tables, is it cuts off so many other users from being able to do a lot of the different things that they're natively going to want to be able to do, right? Okay, so I've put this together. This guy does appear to work. I can run up and down. I don't see any issues. I can bounce around. It appears to be working fine. So I think I'm good to go on this guy. That's great. Now I know if I were to publish this up into the field or up into the service, and if I were to create a Power BI app, my navigation on the side would be these 3 items, right? and two of which have an internal navigation, one of which does not, right? Let's see. Notice a lot of folks there's some out to make the visual experience work. I love to see those gaps close. Yeah, yes, right, Alex. It's either you like bastardize the model in order to make your Power BI functionality, or you sacrifice your Power BI functionality because of your model, and that it's a real big balancing act. And if you're working in a small company and you're free to do whatever you want on it, God bless. That's really easy. Or if you're that data god in your company that's just in there doing your own thing, right? It's super easy for you to like adjust, make changes, do whatever you want to do. But or at a lot of companies, the models are managed by a team. That team gets requests in. They can only move so fast, right? And there's an infinite demand for this type of work, right? So they're never going to get through all of the things that they need to have. All right. But that's what I'm hoping that we get with the composite models, is that ability to go in and start to use these things, start to pull that out of having to be in the model and starting to bring that into hopefully inside of either the composite model functionality or inside of the Power BI desktop, or as a feature inside of here. All right, so I'm going to run through, I'm going to quick build out doing the exact same thing that I did before, except for this is my new home. All right. Now, this is the type of situation where we might not have those same three panels that appear on a lower nav, right? Like this might only make sense under certain circumstances, right? So I may do like a duplicate page, subtopic 1. Way too freaking long. All right, and so here's my subtopic, and I hide the guy. Right. And this guy, I turn my action on, but I make sure that the navigation goes back to the 3 panel with nav. All right. I turn my background to 30%. And then I continue to iterate through this entire process here, right? So I'll call this one 3 panel, right? Or subtopic 1. I really wish you could double click in there. Right? Change that to 0, copy it. Come over here, paste it in. There we go. Change my background to 30. And I'm set to go. Now I want to make sure I change my page navigation, my action. Oh, it is right. Yay. So now I can click on this. Come on. There we go. I go back over there, and when I click on this, I come back to here. Give me a little bit of variance here. Let's just move that, and all right. Now I'm going to continue to like repeat these steps, building this out, but this is not something that's super exciting for you guys to hang in there and watch all of these things. But I just wanted to go through so people could see the process and the time it takes to build these things out. I mean, we're only at 40 minutes in on this thing. I've got a fairly good navigation structure in place where I can, you know, build out, flow through. I've got my information page. Did that work? Really? Oh. All right. I did not have that working. Well, good thing I tested. But you can see how easy it is to set this stuff up, to make sure that it's right, to test it all out, make sure that it's functioning. And once I kind of get this all together, I now have a seed file that I can use whenever I'm building out a report. So I just did this because I'm going to be doing some additional reports that I want to showcase for some people and some other videos. And I realized, hey, I want to have this type of functionality right at my hand as I'm starting to build these things out. But now it is kind of nice because it makes it really easy to go through, make these edits, make these changes, and make the make this whole thing work. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in the live stream. Sorry that it got off to such a rocky start. I'm gonna take this offline. I'm gonna finish this up myself. Thanks for the questions. If you guys have any other questions, do feel free to hit me up. I'm gonna be showcasing some of this stuff later this week. Especially, hopefully, I'll get to a video on the Excel balancing and that analyze an Excel new feature that SQL BI just rolled out. Hopefully we'll be seeing that out later. So thank you guys very much for joining me this afternoon. You guys have a great day. We'll talk with you later. Peace.